Awesome.
Um, right before we get started, I'll just give you kind of like the breakdown. First of all, welcome to Chapters and Cocktails.
Yeah.
Um, this is probably this is our fourth, I think this is our
Okay.
fourth kind of book club interview with the author slash discuss the book. Um,
Okay.
this is the first time that we opened it up to the public.
Ooh, I feel
I
special.
know you are special. And I want to tell you, we did this because of you, because it's this conversation that we're about to have is so much bigger than the chapter lounge or just one community. First of all, I'm gonna introduce you properly. Okay. Let me introduce you properly. J. Nicole. Retired pen name, by the way. You came out of retirement for us to
I
talk all
did.
things your brand, your craft, your book. The book specifically we're going to be talking about is His Best Shot, which I ate up, by the way.
Oh,
And I just appreciate you taking the time out because I know how busy everybody's schedule is these days. But your resume, there is no way I could list all of the books that you've written, and I'm probably going to get this number so wrong. The last time we had a conversation about the number of books you had written, I think it was somewhere around 50 plus. How
yep.
many
Never.
is it now?
So for J. Nicole, oh gosh, I think I stopped it. I can't remember. I know it's over 50, and I know my
Yes.
last book was a significant number. So I was like, oh, it's copacetic. Like it all came together nicely. But I
Yes.
can't remember what that number is now. I know it's over 50, and I don't know if it
We're
hit
gonna go with
60.
50 plus then.
Yeah.
Now, this is not your only pen name. So while I'm running down your resume, not only 50 plus with J. Nicole, but you got other pen names.
Yes,
And
yes.
so total number, if you had to guess, how many books would you say it is?
Um, if Jay Nicole's almost 60, then we're probably talking closer to 70-ish with total. Maybe close to, yeah, almost 70-ish, yep. Because I just released 10 for my Christian romance pen name. And then I have others that are just out there floating in other names.
Wow. Listen, okay. All right. So we're gonna focus on Jay Nicole tonight because
Yeah.
she came out of retirement for us to talk about this book. So I'm super excited about that. But keeping going down your resume, let me explain how excited I am to talk with you in a formal setting, simply because I want to make sure that other authors, but I also want other readers. I'm an avid reader just as much as I'm an author. So I am just in as in awe talking to authors as your everyday reader, right? With that being said, I have gotten to get to know you not just from reading your catalog, but also as you being my mentor. I don't think we shout each other out enough. Like your Black Romance Authors Group, that chat was the first time that I was ever able to be in a room with other authors and realize, like, dang, I ain't got to figure this out by myself. So, on top of all the books that you've written, on top of all the amazing things that you're doing as an entrepreneur, authorpreneur, a wife, a mother, all those things that you're doing, you also have the time to mentor authors like myself, plus other authors, some of which will be joining us this evening. So I appreciate that. And I wanted to make it known for anybody that's listening to this, whether it be live or the replay, there are communities out there for authors. You don't have to figure all this stuff out by yourself. So the expert here, 50 plus books under 160 books, we just gonna name it. 60
Yeah.
books under your J. Nicole pen name. Are you ready to jump in and let's like deep dive into who you are,
Yes. Let's go
your
deep.
craft? I want to talk about your craft. I want to talk about the book, of course. But I want to talk about the author behind the pen a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about it.
So,
Let's get in there. Let's get in
let's
there.
get into it. So now I gotta ask the question, the first one. What made you retire, J. Nicole? That's my first question.
And that's probably the best one because I'm sure more people want to know like what happened. But so I started my other pen name, my Christian romance pen name, a few years ago, and I had all intention of saying, okay, I'm gonna do one or two books over here with this pen name.
Mhm.
And oh, you guys disappeared. Are you still there?
I'm still here. I stopped sharing. You know what?
Now where my
Might
screen
be
just
my
went.
Zoom skills. I stopped sharing the slide. Can y'all see us? Let us
I
know if y'all
hope
can see us
so.
talking.
I don't even
Yes,
know.
we can see and hear you.
All right.
Okay,
So
good.
we still seen that. I just stopped sharing the slide so we could see each other too.
Okay, and I don't know where y'all went, but y'all are, oh, there y'all are. I see y'all now. Okay, good. Yeah, so I started the other pen name a few years ago and had all intentions of writing dual pen names for however long I can be creative. And then the reason I started the Christian pen name is because I felt called to write Christian romance and kind of had this thing like, okay, with the ties, it's like give 10% of your money, right? Also your time. So I was like, God, if I can write this for the world, I can write this
Yeah.
for you. And as I started doing that and kind of getting deep, it just kind of took me away from wanting to write steamy. So I was like, okay, so this is challenging. So I was like, all right, so let me see if I could do J. Nicole and take away some of the steam. Well, the audience was
Mhm.
kind of like, girl, I don't know what you're doing over there, but we don't like that. So I was like, it's time to put that one down for a while. Maybe one day I'll come back to it, reinvent it somehow. But for now, it's fully focused on the Christian romance pen name and potentially another one coming up soon. But definitely decided like the dual hat, it was challenging. It just felt called away from it. So
Gotcha.
there I went.
So before we go into any of the other questions that I have, you brought up a point about your audience not kind of being a little confused about, hey, what's going on? We steamy over here, we Christian over here. From your perspective, though, mentally, how was that writing in these two different, very different spaces? I mean, romance is romance, but the details, behind your pen and what you're putting on the page, how was that mentally trying to keep those things separated?
I did it for the first year that I wrote both. It was very much like two J. Nicole books, one Faith Arsenal book, two J. It was literally like back to back. I was just switching
Yeah.
like hats back to back. So some might say I was going maybe it was a little crazy. It was challenging in that it was different, right? Like it's just something
Yeah.
different. I think the underlying craft is the same. As you said, it's romance still. So the bones, the bare bones are still the same. Um, the biggest challenge with switching back and forth is saying that, okay, one absolutely has to have an inspirational message and can't have
Mhm.
any steam. So the biggest thing was like, okay, so, in J. Nicole world, they'd have been kissing and hunching already. Over here, I can't do all that. Like,
Oh,
how do
we
I
gonna talk
keep
about
them?
it.
Yeah, like how do I keep them out of the bedroom? How do I keep them off of each other? How do I explain why they're not all over each other? How do
Right.
I close the door? How do I keep it more as the storyline as opposed to the steam and the chemistry element there and finding chemistry in some other elements?
Yeah.
So it just became challenging and kind of doing both. I did find that Jane Nicole was a lot easier when I went back to that because, like, okay, I don't have anything else to say about their story. Kiss or, go, get in the bed. But with the other pen name, it very much is like you have to come up with something. Like we can't just throw them
Yeah.
in, on each other. So,
The character arc has to be there. You have to watch the
mhm.
growth. You have to see the integrations and all the things that let's just sleep it. I was gonna say the F word, but I'm gonna keep it PG. Let's just swap body fluids out.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
And then a portion you can actually transition to another part of the story after that. So I
Hmm.
totally get that. I had the pleasure of reading a couple of your Christian romance books, and I must say they were just as good
Oh, thank you.
without the steam.
And
Because
let's give you full credit though. Like you didn't just read the books. Like you were an author, co-author, like you were in there in the weeds before anyone else, even a bit anyone else could see it, giving feedback. amazing feedback, really in the weeds, and I truly miss those days of us just swapping chapters. So
We
that was
gotta get
amazing.
we gotta get back to it. And we have author OJ Barr here. Let me shout her out, but also invite her to the party once
Hey,
we get that party
ladies.
started again.
Yes, please.
Exactly.
Yes, I need all the inspiration. I'm ready to start book 4. So, yes.
Oh, I've started and restarted my book 5. Y'all, we talking about book 4 and 5, and Miss Lady here is on 85.
I'm right, right.
You can do it. Just keep writing.
Right, right. So amazing. Okay, so you also touched on something which brings me to my next question. Number one, writing romance in two different genres almost. Uh but also the number of books that you're putting out, right? And then having to keep it categorized by different pen names and subject matter. What can we touch on here? What can we touch on here? One thing is for sure, you have definitely mastered your publication and your release train, if you will. I think at one point you were putting out a book a month or something very close to that.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
Yes, it was insanity at its finest. Chaotic.
I wish I could put out a book every 6 months. With that
Can
being
we
said,
get to a
though,
book a year? A
a
book a
book a
year.
year. Exactly, exactly. So, with that being said, and you saying it was getting a little bit hard to keep all this stuff straight, and I mean, I can only imagine the burnout. What does your release schedule look like now?
I've given myself a lot of grace. So one of the things with retiring J. Nicole pen name,
Mhm.
um, I went back to my full-time daytime gig. So that, is keeping me busy,
Yeah.
more busy than I was when I was writing full time. So writing full time, putting out all those books. I think the first year I went full time, I think I put out more than a book a month. Like it was insane. Like it was insanity. And that was fun while I was doing that when it was my full time thing. And then,
Mhm.
slowly started trickling off. And then, a lot of life events happened, and I was just like, I can't maintain this. And I also didn't want to literally burn myself out and stress myself out over it because I started writing not for it to be a career necessarily, but
Mhm.
saw that I could make money. But then I started saying like getting it, the burnout actually affected the creativity and the writing. So I was just like, I'm not there anymore. So like I gotta back
Mhm.
up and give myself grace. So now my production schedule is a lot less. This year for my Christian pen name, I targeted 3 books. So I'll put
All
out those
right.
3 books. I'm on the third. Well, the second will be released at the end of this month, and then the third I'm writing will be released June. And then
Okay.
I am starting another pen name, and we'll start writing that book over the summer.
Look at you, a glutton for punishment. I
Very much
thought
so.
you were about to say 3 books this year. You meant 3 books under one pen name.
Yes, yes,
Good
yes.
Lord. My
And
gosh.
and then a fiction book. So what was
Okay.
that? 5 this year. So not
Gotcha.
one a month anymore, but very much a slower pace and not, the grind that I used to have at all.
Hmm.
So definitely slower pace.
Gotcha, gotcha. So that also leads me to a question I was gonna say for the end, but I think first of all, let me just say I totally understand what you mean by that burnout. I still work a full-time job consulting for several different companies that y'all are very familiar with, but I'm tired of talking about them, so I'm not even gonna shout them out
Right.
because they give me that headache over there. But then I'm also, and I never even introduced myself. Let me introduce myself just for the replay of this video. So I'm Cher Terais, author and founder of As Written by Cher Terais, and a lot of people see me on Instagram and TikTok and say, "Oh, she's an author." And then sometimes they say, "Oh, wait a minute, she travels a lot." And then they say, "Wait a minute, don't she talk about this community over here?" So, as written by Cher Terais is not just my author brand, it is my full entrepreneurship brand where I write, but I have two communities, one called the Chapter Lounge, and then one called the Booked Club. And then on top of that, we build these retreats so that the women in these clubs can become pretty much the main characters of their own stories. All that to say, I totally get where you're coming from with the burnout and how it impacts creativity. And I don't know if I'll ever be in a space where I'll just be able to do one thing, like write the books and let that be my sole focus. So that burnout is real and it impacts creativity so much. So here's my question. What do you wish readers understood more about the writing process, your specific writing process, your release schedule, and the things that you actually put into your masterpieces?
Oh, that's a good question. What do I wish I understood more? Um, for me personally, because I do put a lot of books out,
Hmm.
I do want, it's like one of those things, like I always explain it like, Sunday dinner, for instance, right? It may take you all day, or Thanksgiving dinner, it may take you all day, a week to prepare in advance, all day to cook it, and then
Hmm.
20 minutes to eat it. So I wish that readers fully understood what it took to get the story out so that as they're reading it and devouring it, I don't knock anyone for reading a book that quick.
Yeah.
But I do hope that they understand that, like, okay, although I've read it and devoured it, and even if they devoured that quick, even better because that means you really enjoyed it. But if
Hmm.
it took me, an hour or two, however long it took you to read it, the effort to get it out took a long time. And one of the common
Yeah.
things that I've seen from other writers is, when readers, and no fault to theirs, because I do the same thing when I'm watching a TV show and it's like the
Oh,
next episode is not out yet. Like, why? Why do we have to wait a whole year for the next season? Or,
yep.
those types of things. Same thing in the reader community when they're like, okay, when's the next book coming out? That it still takes a lot of time. Even me writing a book in
Yeah.
a month, it still takes effort to get that book out. So just appreciate like the craft of, writing and getting things out, that it's not, something simple that can just be, snap of fingers. As quick as you read it, I can write it. So I hope
Yeah.
readers can understand that.
I wish it were that easy to get it out there. And sometimes it is just that easy to get it on the page, but then there are the things that happen after the story is written. Now it has to be edited. Now it has to be, you got to have beta readers, you got to have sensitivity readers, you got to do all these things just to get it into a state to be formatted, not even published, but formatted for publishing, right?
Yeah.
And then you go through the publication process. You got to find artists, you got to find other people who put their creative, spin on whatever your masterpieces already is. It's not you can't get this out. Now, for those of us who can turn these books around that fast, again, hats off too, but it's a lot of work that goes into these books.
Yeah,
Sometimes with no fanfare.
exactly.
Sometimes with no fanfare. Sometimes, and I think if I had that same question, I would say, I wish readers understood that we literally are bleeding on these pages, and there is not a single dime of money swapped until somebody buys that book. Do you know some authors don't get a book sale until after they dead and gone? So it's a lot. It's a passion project in many cases. I wish readers kind of understood that piece
Yeah,
too.
absolutely. That's a good point that, all the effort you put into it and all the love and heart and imagination and creativity you pour into it could go for naught. It could get out there into the world and not a single person read it.
Not a single person read
Not a
it.
single person
And
talk about it. It's just there. So it
right.
is, it's definitely absolutely a passion project, being in this space that, you're
Yeah,
gonna do it because you truly want that story to come out. Something in your mind is like, yep, this story needs to be out in the world. And you're
that's
gonna do it
right.
regardless. Like you're gonna go through that whole process it takes to get it out there. You're gonna put it out there and you're gonna pray that,
And pray and
that
pray.
someone will find it and once they find it, that they'll love it. So like,
Yeah.
there's so many stages of it.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons why I built the chapter lounge. I wanted to create a space that was not just a book club and not just a authors group. I wanted to merge the two together because even though we are bleeding on these pages and it takes a lot of time to do it, we absolutely need the readers. But the readers absolutely need the authors to have the space to write these books that they know and love. So I didn't know of a community where the readers and the writers are in the same room. So the chapter lounge is kind of like the book club meets the writing room, right? And so that's the whole idea of it. And I just really want our works, the authors, to be in the hands of the readers, but then I also want the readers to be a part of the process.
Yes.
I think it would be amazing if literally J. Nicole is writing her 85th book. And instead of someone having a reader having to wait to even talk to you about it, what if you could serialize the release of your chapters? Or get the readers closer to the work before it has to go through the full publication process. Again, that's one of the hopes of the Chapter Lounge. We're not
That'd be
there
amazing.
yet, but I think the publication industry, the publishing industry rather, I think that's the direction we need to move in.
Yeah, yeah, because I think the way that we are very, what do they call it? The microwave generations where we want things like
Hmm.
quickly. I think
Yep.
that would definitely bode well with the readers who are like, first of all, hats off to the romance community because the
Yes.
romance community reads like no other. Like they are well readers. They can go through too many books
Okay.
in a
Very
time
fast.
frame really quickly and they need more. And,
Uh-huh.
I think if they could, like you said, both interact with the author kind of real time as
Yep.
the story is being generated, as well as having feeding that need to have something a little bit quicker
Yep.
would be really amazing. And it's definitely not easy to like get all those things to come together
Sure.
beautifully, but I think it would be an amazing experience to do that.
Yeah, yeah, we're gonna keep on trying to work through that and see how we can make it work with the right tools and the right feedback loops because we can't just throw your work out there and then hope something's gonna come back. We have to have the right, systems in place for that. And I think
Yeah.
again, this is an evolution of the publishing industry that I want to see. I think we're closer than we actually think we are.
Mhm.
But I see other things happening. We're about to start talking about his best shot here in just a second. Before we do that, some of these questions are just popping into my head as we're talking. Um, you have books that are in all formats, ebook. You have paperbacks, and I don't know if you've gone down the hardcover.
I
Um,
have like one in hardcover.
okay. So ebooks, paperbacks, some hardbacks, hardcovers rather, and then audiobooks.
Hmm.
What other formats are you looking to start pushing your work out in?
I haven't thought about any other formats, but it's a prayer, wish, and a hope that one day I will see my one of my books on the big screen.
Oh, it's happening. It's gonna happen.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny because I saw what was his name? Is it Devin Franklin? That put out
Yes.
the Christian movie recently about Boaz and Ruth
Yeah, that's a good
R&B.
movie too.
It
Yeah.
is, and I was just like, yeah, I could totally see my book on that side, just yeah, fitting right
Yeah.
on there. So I would love that. So I actually have in our brag chat, the only male author there is also a screenwriter.
That's right.
So I was like, yeah, trying to figure out, if I could tag team with a screenwriter because I don't think I have it in me to learn screenwriting because it's definitely a different craft.
Hmm.
But I would love to work with someone to get that one of my books turned into a screenplay.
I can see J. Nicole, executive producer, on the big
Absolutely.
screen. I can see it. I already see it. It's already written. What about
Absolutely.
like the I don't know what they're called, but I keep seeing all kinds of people on my feeds on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook talking about short form vertical content. What about that?
Like video?
Yeah, like those little, I guess
I
the
haven't
best
seen
way
it.
I can describe it. I don't know if you've ever gone down the rabbit hole, those little, it's like really bad acting. But these little 90-minute or these like they're like 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minute clips, and they kind of get you really hooked. And somebody's always getting slapped. I think these are these 90-minute verticals. They're very cliffhanger-ish to get you to watch the next segment or whatever is coming up. I don't know what to call it. They're becoming very
You
popular.
know, I haven't seen them personally. It's funny you mentioned it
Okay.
because my mom has mentioned it to me before, and she was hooked on one, and she tried to tell me about it. And I was like, Mom, for some reason, that's not coming up on my feed. I have
Oh
no idea
my
what you're talking
God.
about. Like, I haven't seen it yet, but
Listen,
that would be cool.
I just watched one and I think these people were Chinese. It almost seemed like honey, it was so good and bad at the same time. I could not stop watching. And
I
I
couldn't.
literally, this is the first time I ever did it, clicked on the button to pay to watch the rest of it.
Are you serious?
And then paid for it and got busy and didn't watch it.
That's all they need. They just needed your money. They
We
didn't care if
just
you watched it
needed
for real.
clickbait. Yeah, get her on in here. She'll
Well,
give
you'll
us the
have to send
money.
it to me. I have to check it out because I literally have not seen it. So it's just random people acting. Are they actual actors and actresses
I'm
or
sure there are actual actors, actresses. I've never heard of any of them. Never seen them in anything other than these little clips that come across my phone. And
oh,
it
interesting.
let me not even make it anything but what it is. The acting is horrible.
But you know, I feel like that's how some of the let's be honest, Tyler Perry, like when they start, well, I don't even say when they start because to be honest, I
Ooh,
mean, I'm
I'm
not gonna knock
glad
him.
somebody said it. Thank you.
Right. I'm not gonna knock him, but I feel like we haven't gotten that far. But
Yeah.
there are some that it's just you have that hook and it doesn't matter like the acting, like the story just kind
Yeah.
of for some reason reels you in and they're
Hmm.
masterful at that and the rest of it is just like, oh, okay, whatever, but let me hear what
Yeah.
else is gonna happen. I gotta see what's gonna happen next.
For sure. I was in a room with some folks in the publishing industry a couple of weekends ago, and Tyler Perry came up, and
Oh, that's amazing.
yeah, it was interesting. It was the film industry folks were in there looking to find authors and books and stories that they could actually help convert. And it was an amazing space to be in.
Oh, I
Tyler Perry
bet.
came up because you know me, I asked a question that they were just kind of like, and my question to them was, Hollywood has already told us that they're not interested in Black stories.
Yeah.
So I said, even looking at your panel, the girl, they were irritated with me. I said, even looking at your panel, I don't see any diversity. So I asked them,
Oh,
period, what's your take on Black stories making it on the big screen? Or is this something I'm just about to pay a lot of money for
right.
to be able to get no bites? Because if y'all don't solve that problem, none of this other stuff matters for me.
Yeah. Right.
And the young lady, she gave a very candid answer. She was like, Sinners just won 4 Oscars. She's like, there's about to be a massive shift in Hollywood. I said, okay, you took
I want
notice.
to see it.
I said, okay. And she was like, she told me this. I wasn't aware, but she was like, Idris Elba. She mentioned some other names, Kerry Washington. They all have these production companies now that are popping up. And I'm like, I can see it. I absolutely
Yeah.
can see it. The conversation about Tyler Perry specifically was that she said this period point blank. Tyler Perry does not make movies for Black people. And I said, hmm. And she said, Tyler Perry makes movies that he can be in. He makes movies for
Mhm.
himself. And I said, you know
I can
what?
see that.
I can see that too. I can see
Yeah.
that too.
Yeah.
Um,
That makes sense.
I don't know if anybody's ever talked about that openly before, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me too. He makes movies for himself to have a platform. That's not saying that's a bad thing,
It's
but
worked. I mean, whatever works,
right,
works. So I
it
guess
works.
it's working for him. But yeah,
Hmm.
I do think so even the book industry, right? It took a while for it to catch up that and it still hasn't gotten there yet, right? Like there's
Sure.
still no recognition for Black authors in a lot of spaces.
Hmm.
But it's slowly starting to catch on that like Black people read and they read as much as everyone else. And they,
Mm-hmm.
they have a whole community and they would love to see themselves represented in books. And it's taken
Yeah.
that long for us to get authors in our space writing for our space, right? So I think eventually the movies and other, media will catch
Mm-hmm.
up. And to her point, like it's different. And even if it is just us, I think we spend enough money to make it work. So
I agree.
I
I
think it's there.
100% agree.
So I think, hopefully by the time we're ready, it'll be waiting for us to, get on the big screen. But she has a good point. There are a lot of um, Hollywood, Black Hollywood starting their own production companies, which is good
Mm-hmm.
because I do feel like whether or not they will completely focus on our community, they will have an
Mm-hmm.
eye for our community. So hopefully, it will be a better chance for us to get some of those, our stories to the big screen.
It's gonna happen. If we have to make, we're good at really making a way out of no way.
We really are.
So I can see it happening.
Yeah.
I think a movie coming out, You, Me, and Tuscany.
Oh, I saw that. I'm so
Uh,
excited to see it. I can't
I
wait to
me
see
Please
it.
go see it this weekend. It's out. It actually probably came out tonight. Please, opening weekend. We all need to
Oh,
go see it.
yes. I
uh,
can't wait.
Yes.
I gotta give a shout out to Wanderlust Romance real quick. Y'all, do y'all know that this is the first time this movie, You, Me, and Tuscany, is the first Black female led movie in the last 10 years where a rom-com was on the big screen with a Black female lead. That's the first thing.
Yep.
It's been 10
Yep.
Really?
years. Yeah. And it's been 28 years since a Black female lead led an American movie set internationally. This
Wow.
has not been
There's space for
done.
you. So we wanted to do amazing because that will open up your space for all the books that you got
Listen,
ready and waiting for them to pick up.
I'm ready and waiting for them to figure it out too. This has not been done since How Stella Got Her Groove Back. I know.
And
That's
that movie did
mind blowing.
amazing. So I'm so surprised that it didn't start like a domino effect for them searching for more books and stories like that because to bring to the
Yeah.
big screen because
hmm I
that
think it
that
did do a domino effect, just not with us leading it.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now you think about shows like Emily in Paris.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got the tour guide, I forget the name of it. The tour guide, young white lady in Vietnam falling in love. Let me
Okay.
see. You got like Eat, Pray, Love, those kind of
Okay.
things that are
Yeah.
massive hits, but it's just
Right.
not us. And
Yeah.
I don't know. We have there's a lot of growth that's needed in that area.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about his best shot.
Let's talk about it.
First things first, fling romance.
Yes.
I never heard of a fling romance. Explain
Really?
that to me. Yes,
So it starts off as just a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. And
you
then somebody
did,
catches
indeed.
feelings. And then someone catches feelings. And it's just like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe I don't want this to be just a one night thing. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more.
Exactly. Okay, so Julius and Imani.
Yes. And hold
Um,
on. Let me tell you first of all. So I don't
okay.
even know when this book was first written. So I have my notes up because
Oh,
I'm like,
please.
huh? After 50 books, you can imagine that like stories. Yep, that I wrote
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I'm only five. Like I said, working on five, and I don't know half my characters' names anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Once you're
Okay.
done with them, you're done. Thank you for
So
that.
you got your notes up. Okay. All
Yep.
right. So let's kind of give a synopsis without any spoiler alerts because we don't know who's gonna be watching this. I'm actually putting
Right.
this on YouTube, so we don't know who's gonna be watching this. And we don't want to do too many spoiler alerts, but we definitely want to generate enough interest. So, fling romance, I learned something new. Yes, the wham bam and the thank you mamming was going on. So, and make sure, correct me if I'm getting these names wrong too, because I'm bad. I'm horrible with names. So, Julius and Imani, I think it's Julius, right?
Yep.
Okay,
Julius
cool.
Imani. Yep.
All right, so Julius, NBA player, baller. And
Mm-hmm.
then we have Imani, Tuckerville, small town USA,
Yes.
and she's a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And her best friend, you might as well call her an LA housewife,
Yep.
married also to an NBA player. So this story
Yep.
starts out with Imani, this is my take now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Imani
Let's
is
hear it.
on the path to find her a baller.
Yes.
And here comes Julius in the club. Now, fling romance. This all happened in the first chapter.
Yes.
She, she done went to the club. Well, no, no, no. She done visited her friend in LA. They done went to the club. She done met a baller and they done did the wham bam, thank you, ma'am, all in the first chat.
Yeah, it doesn't take long
Back
at all.
background me, please. Like, how did we get here? First chapter.
So, interestingly enough, Imani's best friend actually has her own book. So,
Okay.
Greetings from Tuckerville is a small town romance with 6 books. And the very first basketball romance or sports romance I ever wrote was from that series.
Mm-hmm.
So her best friend, who I will not remember her name, her best friend and her
Ari.
husband now, Ari, thank you, and her husband now started off in Cheering for You from the
Okay.
Greetings from Tuckerville story. So they were in that story, and then they move, or all that happens, they get to LA, and then Imani from His Best Shot is like, yep, I want what you got. I'm
I
coming
want some
out
of
there.
that.
Let's see who
Yep.
you can introduce me to. Because I mean, what better than, hook me up with somebody, right? And it just so
Right.
happens that you can hook me up with someone who is a baller. So she's out there thinking, maybe I can make this happen. So she's in LA and she's trying to see if, what can
Yes.
happen.
And it happened. So much so that I started to go back and count the phone calls that Julius made to Imani, and kind of the first thing out of his mouth was, I would be doing better if you was in this bed with me. So going back to what we first started talking about, trying to keep the pen name straight.
Yeah.
This is a very spicy book.
Yeah, that one. So that one was before I came to Jesus. So that's
Mhm.
to say that that one was very much like I was in the element. But I will
Mhm.
say that in all of my J. Nicole books, the chemistry is truly the characters. So it's
Yes.
truly in whatever their element of showing their chemistry, exchanging their love, showing their, interest to each other. And these
Hmm.
two just seem to just have it. They were like, yes. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously it starts off with a fling, so it's really hard to go down
Oh
from the
yeah.
fling. Like you can only go up, right? Like you can't go
Right.
backwards now. Like I can't slow things down.
Right.
So, it is difficult to like there's no transgression there. Like it's just, yep, it's
You're
out
right.
there.
They can either go up or crash and burn,
Yes,
right? And
exactly.
so that actually leads to my next question. I'm gonna read it specifically how just how I wrote it, so you'll know you just hit the nail on the head, really. So I actually wanted to say Julius and Imani's relationship begins with intense physical chemistry and builds from there. Were you intentionally exploring intimacy first and then emotion second?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Because it's a fling romance. And for the fling to kind of obviously the chemistry there has to be intense if you're thinking that like, yep, this can be a one night stand. So we're gonna have to
Yeah.
hit it off real fast. And then, after that, let's just say in real life, what happens, you can do that and then just be like, yep, not in, I should say from the male standpoint, they'll be like, I'm not interested because you gave
Yeah.
it up a little
Yeah.
bit too quick. Or the opposite where they just, razzle and dazzle, like, oh wow, okay,
Yeah.
maybe I want some more of that. So, it's one of those two things, but yeah, I definitely had the intention of starting off with strong physicality and then
Yeah.
going into figuring out now, like that we hit that, okay, does everything else fall in line? Can this be a guy that will actually pursue her like she deserves to be
Hmm.
pursued? Because although she wants a baller, that sounds great, but is this someone who's actually worth your time?
Exactly. And she's a teacher. And I think the way that she being Imani, the way she's portrayed on the page, yeah, she did come off kind of as I'm looking for this baller really early on, but as she progresses over the story, even though their chemistry and passion never slowed down, you're actually watching her evolve out of that mindset, like, I'm not sure that's what I want anymore. And so was that also intentional for her character growth to get to the point where she's looking at Julius as more than just a baller at this point?
Yeah, so that I don't even know how that came about where because that is a lot of reader feedback. They're like, she's looking for a baller and then all of a sudden she's not looking for a baller. Like what is up with that? And it truly was this is everything that you seek what you actually want. So like she
Hmm.
had to go through that, revelation of her own. Like I see my friend has it, and we've all had that experience in real life, right? Like
Yeah.
I see something I someone else has, I want that, but then you
Hmm.
get like a little taste of it, and it's like, well, do I really want that or not? So like she has to go to that through that evolution of is that
Yeah.
really truly what I want? So I think that was some of that back and forth that I subconsciously was playing with there of like, is that you just went she literally just went after it because of her friend had it. And
Yeah.
it's like that'd be nice.
Understandably so. Understandably so. On top of all of that, because of their chemistry and how fast they kind of jumped into the physicality of their relationship, I think one of the ways that you kind of really, you did this really well. You kind of cooled this story off by introducing family dynamic. And so, for Julius, his family is very involved in his life. Momager mom, lawyer sister. Tell me about those two brothers. What are these brothers doing? Like, what is going on with these brothers?
So the secret to all my stories is that family will always
Yes.
be in the mix somewhere. Like they can't mind their business. Like they're always going to be in the mix. So there's always going to be some element of family being involved in some way, shape, or
Hmm.
form. And when I write, because now I've written a number of sports romances, it's how will that impact this person who has their, they've made it, for lack of better words. How
Hmm.
will that impact their whole family dynamic? Like all the people, and we've seen plenty of stories, right? And
Hmm.
athletes who make it and may or may not have come from good backgrounds, and
Hmm.
they have to deal with that on a very open stage of trying to make sure that their family doesn't do some things they don't need them to do in public, like some things
Yeah.
that aren't helpful to their own personal career. So I think that's the play where the brothers came in of everything that happened with them. Because if I remember correctly, in his best shot, it had like a gambling situation or something,
Yeah.
right?
The brother, it was it
Yeah.
Jackson? I think it
Let's
was
see.
Jackson.
I got notes, girl. I got notes. It's probably Jackson. If you read it recently, so
Yes.
it probably is. But yeah, it's there, and that was just a dynamic that came up. Like, okay, what could go wrong with an athlete?
Yeah. Yeah. I never considered that. So again, nice job with bringing in different layers to not only just the characters, but different situations. Like I at the point that that was introduced, that was the last thing that I was thinking would happen. But the more I thought about it, like, dang, all these athletes have the potential to get caught up in their family drama. And in this particular case, your family betting against you. Now, that's first of all, that's egregious alone
Right,
that your brother is betting on your demise
right.
and getting paid from it. But on top of that, had that come out in any way, I never considered how that would impact the athlete himself. He could have basically been kicked out of the league.
And I want to say around the time that I was writing, I want to say there was a story of someone's not to gambling to that extent, but something that was
Hmm.
happening like a family dynamic where it was impacting the athlete's
Yeah.
career. And it that, obviously is like, oh yeah, that's definitely real for them, right? Because I try to, I guess when I'm picking like my characters and their profession and whatever their background is going to be, like
Hmm.
I try to be like true to like what could happen to them in that career and whatever could happen surrounding them. So for athletes, I obviously it's a it's a win for everyone reading if they like sports and they like, or if they just like find men who have athletic bodies.
Right.
But to also like pull in some of that dynamic of what would happen in an athlete's life, like what issues will that relationship encounter because they're an athlete, or
Hmm.
what will they encounter because I had I had a mortician in one of my books. What will they encounter because this person's a mortician? Like you just gotta like figure out like what is it what can happen to them because of the career that they choose to do every day.
So now taking that same notion, I know a lot of readers have read this book, but talking to the authors now, up and coming authors, just everything that you just said leads to the notion that you've had to do some extensive research, even for a romance. A lot of people, I don't think, realize the amount of research that goes into this. What's your research process for your books? Not even just this one, but all your books.
Yeah, so I go pretty in depth when I'm doing my planning. So, early on in my career, I did a lot of just what do they call it? Pantsing. So
And
I'm
yeah.
writing. Everything's coming to my mind, I'm just writing it. Now I take about a whole week to like fully like really, really, really dig in to the character's background, their family,
Mhm.
and all of those dynamics. And then if they have, a career that's significantly out of my reach, like something I totally don't get, digging into that. For athletes, it is finding a counterpart for them in real life. Like, who is
Yeah.
this person like? What is that person like? What have they done in their career? What type of person are they? Where do they come from? How did they, what was their rise like? And I'll either take like some of that detail and flip it and say, well, what happens if they did this? Or,
Hmm.
and then for sports, particularly, my husband is a big sports fanatic, so he is very on. I'm like, can this happen? What happens when this, takes place? And really, some of it is watching, interviews with athletes or
Hmm.
characters, or truly like digging in. Some of it's watching movies to see some of that, like, okay, how does this play out on the screen? Like, if I'm whatever type of story I'm writing, kind of get in
Yeah.
there, and then reading other books. I think that's the biggest thing is to see reading what other authors are doing is kind of feed my creativity and the like pacing, for instance, like, okay,
Hmm.
what are readers gobbling up right now? Because I think that also changes quite a bit.
Hmm.
Over my writing career, I've seen, there's different iterations of readers, and I think even readers can probably say they've changed throughout the years. Romance used to very much be um, the arc of them getting together, and I've seen more
Yeah.
reader feedback like, well, I want to know everything after that. And I'm like, watch a romance movie. How many times do they leave off the page with that first kiss when they finally get together? And that's it. You just got to use your imagination on
That's
what
it.
happens after that. But readers now are like, well, I want to know,
You're
like,
right.
what happens after that? I'm like, okay.
I'm that kind of reader. I won't say that I care too much about what happens after, the crescendo of the relationship.
Mhm.
I do care about what makes these characters tick though. I
Yeah.
want to know all the details. I need to know about the location. Why this location? Oh, that's nice. I love that location.
Well,
I
that
think that
makes sense
adds to
because you're a
that.
Wonderlist writer. So
I
location is
know.
big to you. That's as much as like another character in your stories as
It
is the
absolutely
character.
is.
So
Yeah.
that's definitely big for you. But yeah, they in longer romance books now, like I'm seeing, we have a couple of infamous romance writers who are writing really long books. And that
Yes.
didn't used to be a thing. Like that it was, reserved for like fantasy novels. Like if you're
Hmm.
talking 400 or 500 pages, romance readers are like, I'm not. And now they're like, yes. And I'm like,
I
what?
want all of it. I want
Yeah, and I'm
all the
like,
details.
I don't
Yes.
know how much
I want to know
more.
how much the slap stung.
Yes, like they want so much detail.
Yeah.
So it is changing. Evolution is
Hmm.
changing. So, it's keeping up with that by reading what's, trending these days is helps to kind
Hmm.
of feed into my stories. Although I will say for some of the trends, I'm like,
Not for me. One I will add on to that I think, and dare I say this, I'm gonna say it out loud, and I might get some hate for it, but in the Black romance community, I think one of the trends that I'm seeing that I absolutely hate is adding every social issue that you
Oh,
can add on the page. And I'm like, pick one and
yeah,
do it well. We don't need to hear about, Black Lives Matter, police brutality. I mean, just pick one. Any of the 15 social issues right now connected to Black women. Pick one. Pick
yeah.
one and do
That's
and
interesting
write
you say
well
that.
about it.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that. I definitely think there's, a space if it's relevant. Like, because I say this about books, I say this about movies, I say this about everything. Like, if something is placed and forced into the story, I'm like, you could have left
Yes.
that out there. Like, there was no purpose for that to be there. Like, it did not
Hmm.
elevate my experience at all. So
Yeah.
I do agree that, like, and I probably, might get my hands slapped for this one too, but I agree with you in that. I don't want to see all the social issues, don't want to write about the social issues because for me,
Right.
I am escaping the real world by writing. And I
That
know a lot
part.
of my readers are escaping the real world by writing, and you don't necessarily want to hear all of that. Like you could turn on the news to see all of the things that are going
Yeah.
on in the world. If you open a book, like you don't necessarily need to see all of that and
Yeah.
regurgitate it in the story unless it actually has like I said, for instance, there's one of my Christian romance books where there is, I think you may have read this one where she's in Houston and she's a social worker. So
Hmm.
like
Yeah. I mean, there's
absolutely
relevance to that.
there's
She's a social worker.
yeah, exactly. There's relevance to the story. But
Yeah.
now if I took someone who was a fashion designer and for some reason they're dealing with all these social issues, you'd be like, but why? Like, why are we doing that? So it's
And
just
I
like
truly believe
really.
in, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was gonna say, I just really think if it's relevant, it deserves a place. If it's not, don't force it into a story.
Right. Not all of them. And 9 times out of 10, if you are writing Black characters, there is one or more social issues that are at play right now, especially if you're writing stories that are rooted in reality. But to
Mm,
your point, you should not have to force it.
mm-mm,
So,
at all.
all right. Well, we're going to get out of the hand slapping area.
Right. Back away from that a little bit.
Back away from that a little bit. All right, so let's finish talking about his best shot. All right, so we talked about Julius's family and how that dynamic played out. First of all, I'm not quite sure how I feel about his mom. I'm gonna hold my judgment because my next question, are there any details in his best shot that if someone has not read the next book in series, what's the setup for the next book?
So, the series is complete standalone. So, I think
Okay.
the biggest thing with majority of my series, except for like one, which is a continuous series, is that you'll meet a character in another book, and
Hmm.
that character will likely have such a prominence in the story in your mind, like kind of a back niggling where you'll leave the book saying, I want to know about that person. So then you'll go to the next story and be like, oh, okay, there's that person.
Yeah.
So that's really about it. So there's not you, for instance, you don't have to read, cheering for you to understand Imani's best friend and her husband's relationship or anything like that to fully
Gotcha.
grasp his best shot. And you don't have to, necessarily go on to the next book to fully get all of Julius and Imani's story because it's self-contained in that book, but you'll see them again. And if you're that reader who wants to know more, you'll likely see them again tidbits and get kind of more of how they're, continuing life together.
Yeah. I'm gonna say one more thing that's I like that, the standalone romance thing. I've started reading a lot of series
Mm.
and I'm gonna say it because somebody else might not. I think there are a lot of series out here that should have ended at
Mhm.
maybe 3/4 into book two of the series, and the book is like five series deep, or 5 books deep. The series is like 5 books deep.
Oh,
I
that's tough.
think that is very hard to keep a story going, especially a
Yeah.
serialized story that you have to read in order.
Yeah. For a romance, I think so because like I said, I think you can sum it up pretty quick. Like we know what's going to happen. It's
Yeah,
more so how are we getting there? For some readers today, they want to know a little bit after that too. But like
yeah,
fantasy, for instance, there's a lot of build up because you kind of got to build that
Sure.
world up. Romance is typically in, real world. So like you don't have to tell me unless you're a Wanderlust writer, you don't really necessarily have to build up where they are and how
Right.
it's
Or
all
how they got
happening.
there
Yeah, how
because
they
they
got
live
there.
there.
Right, exactly. They lived there and they met. So
Right.
there's not a lot of that going on. So I really like I don't know if I've read I don't know if I've read a serialized series. At least not recently. I most of mine have been standalone. Most books that I've read, romance books I've read have been standalone romances.
Hmm.
And I don't know
Mine is only three. At least it's not five, y'all. It's only three.
but your books have a lot of characters, so I
They
could get
do.
how you would you have to keep going to be able to tell all the different stories. But I
Yeah.
don't
Hmm.
know with just, a set of two people how they can go. Because are the
It's like a
five book
lot
series,
of
for instance,
breakups that are happening or
but
something.
is it just two people, the same two people, all the way from beginning, first book to the fifth book?
That's for you, OJ.
No, that's for you, Cher. The book
Oh,
that
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
you said that
Repeat the
you read a
question.
book with a lot of
Oh,
that could have stopped like at the book two. But is that
yeah.
series,
Uh,
is it the
it's the
same
same
couple?
couple for like
Oh, yeah, no.
I'm gonna give some even more concrete details, like three books in series, and each book is almost 100,000 pages, 100,000 words. I'm sorry. It's a lot going on, and by the time I got to the end, and this has happened more than a few times now.
Hmm.
Uh, by the time I got finished with the series, I'm like, this whole book could have been told. This could have been told in one book.
This meeting could have been an email.
That part. It was a good ass email though. Let me just
Right.
say that. But y'all
Once
added a
you
whole
finished
lot of
it,
stuff. Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's like I said though, like there's the romance community as a whole, I think is
Evolving.
evolving in a certain way where they're commingling, I think, genres where it's just like, okay, that
Yeah.
didn't used to be a thing where we need to know all that detail. And now you have readers who probably could be
Mhm.
like in romantasy, basically. Like they want those long,
Yeah.
very detailed stories, but they're bringing that into romance and, searching for that. And it's interesting though, because with our attention spans being, I don't know how people are reading that many pages with that many details about the same two
Yeah.
people. Because you couldn't tell,
Yeah.
you couldn't pay me to sit down and watch a 5 hour romance movie. But there are like action, like
Yeah.
Titanic, for instance, it was 3 hours. Like that was too long. I was like, what? Why does it need to be this
Especially for her to leave him floating in that cold
long?
ass
Okay.
water.
Like we did all this for that.
Gross. I'm sorry, Kiki Palmer. I'm laughing at this that skit she did. That was so
I
funny.
haven't seen it.
Oh my God. Look for the
I
little
just,
clip with Kiki Palmer. I don't know, it's some game show she's on, and Titanic was what she was trying to get. She kept saying, Rose, Rose.
I saw that. I saw that.
I love
I
Kiki
was
Palmer.
cracking
It
up.
was hilarious.
Oh, she is hilarious.
She
All
is.
right, so you said that these are standalone, so there's really there doesn't have to be a setup between book one and book two. Okay, all right. So for those of you who are listening, you can jump into the series in either order, and you're still gonna get the full benefit of the story. So that's good. My next question kind of becomes irrelevant. So I'm gonna skip. Wrap up for his best shot. First of all, I thought it was super cool that you did a sports romance series. And you kind of touched on something that I think all of us are thinking that these NBA ballers can get all the smash that they want when they want it. But Miss Imani said, I ain't on that no more. Mid stroke.
Right. Changing it up.
Changing up. And they actually made it. So I think that's the spin that we don't expect to happen. You know, we expect a baller to be a baller. But we don't expect him to be the chaser. And
Right.
so Cool dynamic. I'm glad you put that together because we got to see a different spin on the traditional NBA player.
Yay.
Yay! So, what's coming up next for you? I know you already touched on you're about to spin up a whole nother pen name.
I am.
Aside from that, what's going on with you? Where can we find who? Who are we gonna find? Because we're not looking for J. Nicole no more.
Jay Nicole is on the shelf. So if you don't have her on the shelf already, you may not be able to find her.
That's right.
Faith Arsenault is my Christian pen name, and I am on Instagram with her
Yep.
and Facebook, I believe. Even that, like I am very like, let's just write. Let's get back to the basics. With
Okay.
that, I do Substack, so I do have a newsletter that comes out weekly. And I turned down events for this year, so no, not doing any events. Just really kind of, I think getting back to the basics. I think when I became a full-time entrepreneur, I went full speed ahead with everything. And I was just like, this is a lot. I was trying to be Cher, a mini me of
Oh,
Cher, and I was like, I don't have the gas for that. So
I don't have the gas for it. Trying to borrow
I
some
don't see how
gas
you do it.
from
I honestly do
OJ.
not. Honestly do not see how you do it, and I see why I don't see how you do it because I can't do it. So I decided to give myself grace and said, you know what? Let's do the things. Let's focus back on the actual writing. So like that's
Yeah.
where my focus is this year at least. We'll see what happens in 2027, but 2026 it truly is falling back in love with writing romance. Like it truly is just
Yeah.
like, yeah, I really like I don't think I ever stopped liking it, but the creativity did take a hit. So like it's getting back to like, okay, this is fun. Like I'm enjoying it again.
I love that. Who are you reading? What romance authors are you reading now? We're gonna focus it on romance.
So funny, I haven't been reading a lot.
Okay.
I read a book, so I was on vacation last week and my daughter was reading, so I was on the plane. So I was like, I want to read a book. And I don't even know who the book was by, but you know, Prime gives you like free Prime books, and they're really good with doing these little short novellas. So
I
like I was
knew
like,
that, but I've never
I
taken advantage of it.
you should, because for me, it's just like they're quick and only the novellas. I don't know about all the rest, but it's a
Hmm.
quick little novella that I was able to read from up down. So I was able to finish it before we landed.
Wow.
And it was a cute book, but I can't tell you who the author was.
Huh. You're gonna have to go back and find it because they probably got many more of them out there.
Yes,
Probably got a
yes,
lot of
exactly.
books out there too.
Exactly. But yeah, so I amongst all the things that I've been doing lately, like reading had unfortunately has not been one of them. Like, it's like,
You know what? Writing, I should be writing. I've been reading a lot more than writing these
really?
days.
But you know,
Yeah.
I can't blame you though because that adds to the craft though. Like I do miss it. So when I read it, it did
Yeah.
like rejuvenate me. Like, okay, let's
Yeah.
get back on the
Yeah.
page. Because it gives you that creative juice. Like, oh, they did that. That's amazing way they told that story. Um,
Yeah.
so I was totally like, yeah, yeah, let's
One last question about your writing craft.
hmm
Maybe this is not even a writing craft question, and hopefully I'm not the only person who does it, but as a professional writer, author, when you read other people's books, are you able to zone out and just read as a reader, or do you find yourself working? Let me just say that.
Um, so I do have to intentionally turn that other side off and say this is
Hmm.
just for enjoyment. So like on the plane, I was able to do that. I did like I started saying like, oh, the craft that she used it, and then I was like, nope, nope, nope. This is just for, and that's probably why I got through it so quickly because I was
Yeah.
able to just read and not like truly pick it apart. But I do and have intentionally read books to analyze them. So like I have notes like on what did they do? What was their setup? What was their hook?
Yeah.
Like how did where'd the art go? What intrigued me about the book? What didn't I like about the book? Then I go in and read the reviews and kind of see like if I am
Yeah.
lining up with the reviews. So like there are times when I purposely will pick up a book and say, okay, let's analyze it. But every other time I try very, very hard to say, okay, no, this is just for enjoyment. I'm not going to pick it apart.
I love that. I am trying to get back there. I'm finding myself picking movies apart, TV shows. I'm like, girl, stop it.
I
Stop analyzing
know.
other people's stuff like that.
You're probably the same. I'm probably the one of the worst people to watch a movie with because I have been writing so much. I can catch
Yeah.
a setup in a movie and I'm like, oh, they're going to do this, or this is why they did that. And I bet this is
Yeah.
going to happen next. And everyone in my family will look at me like, really?
Please stop. Just stop it and enjoy the movie so we can enjoy the movie. Yes, I
Exactly.
think from all of our perspectives as authors, because we're always trying to, put fresh spins on things. We're trying to, like you said, the hook, the plot, the through line, the character arcs. That's a lot of work that a lot of people don't realize is happening. And so now when other people are doing it, we can literally see this as segments of a process as
Hmm.
opposed to entertainment. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I think that's a gift and a curse. I find
Yeah.
it fun.
I
But
do too. I find it fun. Because surprisingly, it doesn't take away from like whatever I'm reading or doing. If I can pick those things up, find them, I almost kind of give myself a gold star, like, oh yeah, you got it
yeah,
right. You know, so
yep,
I
yep.
don't mind it too much.
Look, we're gonna wrap this thing up. But before we do, Miss Thang said, now OJ, I'm saying this to you about Miss Thang on the screen. She said she is canceling events for the year and has canceled, if I remember correctly, your involvement
Mm-hmm.
in Black Writers Book Fest. Or I'm sorry, Black
Black
Romance Book
Romance Book
Fest.
Festival, I
Mm-hmm.
did.
Girl, that golden ticket.
I did. And that one was tough. It really was because I had the most fun last year. It was amazing. But then when I really thought about it, like what that would look like this year without any books coming out, I was like,
Yeah,
I feel like I'm taking up space that can go to someone else potentially. But also I was like, I if I want to set this down, like I truly have to set it down. Like I can't
I
say, okay,
got
well,
you.
I'll go do this event. Because obviously all authors know, like it's not just like I'm gonna show up. There's a lot of stuff that goes into getting to the event, to marketing the event, to keeping your audience engaged and all those types of things that would have taken a lot out of me. For them to show up and be like, well, where's the book at? What new books do you got?
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was
Well,
like,
that is
You should have told
admirable
them
of
you can
you.
pick from any of my last 50.
right? I could
Exactly.
have, but it was very much it was a tough decision. I definitely I prayed on that one. I was just like, it doesn't make sense for me to go as J. Nicole and show up in that space right now. And then my husband was like, well, you should see if they'll, let I said, I don't think those audiences necessarily mix. So I don't know.
Well, tell us one more time for the readers, the folks out there who are looking for more well, not from J. Nicole, but where can they find Faith Arsenault? Where can they find your books? Where would you prefer them to find your books?
So they're all on Amazon for ebooks. So I am
Hmm.
exclusive. And then for the paperbacks, I do have them pretty much everywhere. So
Okay,
paperbacks anywhere, and then Amazon for the ebooks.
gotcha.
And I
And
haven't done the
once
audio for them yet, but hopefully one day I'll swing back around to audio again.
y'all know I talk too dang on much because as soon as you said audio, in my head, I'm thinking, ooh, who are you thinking for the audiobooks? I mean, if you could have your pick and choose who's going to do the narration for the woman and the man, who would they be?
I don't know because I'm not an audio listener. So like when
Oh
I
my
did any of
God.
my audio books, that was the hardest part. I had to go to one of my girlfriends who was an avid audiobook
Yeah.
listener and be like, does this person sound good? Like I don't even know because I don't like listening to people read. So like they all sounded bad to me, but do they sound good or not? Like what am I looking for? Like it was such a difficult process. So fortunately for his best shot in that whole series, that was taken out of my hands. Went to a media company, and they did all finding the people and all that good stuff. So
Gotcha.
I didn't have to think about it. But if I were to revisit that again for Faith Arsenault, I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I couldn't even call it.
OJ, I'm gonna include you in this
Mm-mm.
question.
Uh-uh. Because J. Nicole, she already knows I am currently struggling. I actually like audiobooks, and I have someone reading mine now, and I absolutely hated the chapter, and I sent it to Cher, and I don't even know if I trust her anymore because she was like, "This sounded great." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? This was horrible."
I'm
You've
gonna be
lost all
honest.
trust.
The first cut was a mm-mm.
Yeah, the first cut was bad, but the second cut was not much better to me,
I
and
I
Cher thought it
think
was
you
great.
were I think you were irritated at that point and you were
Probably
hearing through
so.
your irritation muffs.
Yeah, that
She
could be
Something.
it.
she was so irritated.
I wish I could offer some advice, but I swear, like that was like listening to the chapters as they read through it. I was like, this has to be the worst task
Yeah,
ever in life. And I know one of our other author friends, she has some tips and tricks on that. So I'll drop that to you guys in the chat because
please.
Thank you.
she has some tips on getting someone else to do that work for you.
Good. All right, so we
Hmm.
know where to find you. We won't be looking for J. Nicole. I do have to end by saying thank you so much for bringing her out of retirement for this segment. I don't know if this will be the last interview you do as J. Nicole. Maybe she'll come back. Maybe she'll come back. Will
Who
you let
knows?
us know?
I will let you know, but I appreciate you thinking of Jay Nicole and considering her for your amazing group to choose for this big book club interview. And I thank you, as always, for all the things you do. Like you are an amazing entrepreneur and friend and author, and I am so glad that you do all of the things. Although I know secretly it's a lot.
It
Um,
is.
so I pray that you get all your flowers and that everything brings you fulfillment and that it's not, a drain, that it also fills your cup.
It does. And these things like this, talking to other authors, I mean, this is amazing for me. So this is one of the things that I really appreciate doing, being able to talk to you all because I learned so much through every conversation. So selfishly,
It's a win-win then.
it's a win-win.